A very good afternoon, and thanks for clicking on to the Bank Holiday Monday edition of Vogan's European Outlook for the 29th of May. And yeah, there is some very interesting things going on. There's a lot of things to cover in today's video, so bear with me, and I'll try and not bounce around too much. But before we get into the video, please like, share, and subscribe, of course. I do appreciate that. I appreciate your view. I appreciate your subscription. And indeed, I'm continuing to try and show you lots of different things here in the channel, so it doesn't get monotonous or boring, but keeps it nice and fresh, and we can all try and learn something different each and every day. But at the moment, we've got a regime that is now starting to change around. We had a fairly cool north, warmer south over the last couple of days over the weekend, and we are going to start to see the temperatures warming up big time across more northern areas of the UK. And we're actually going to trim back the temperature across more southern areas as we go through the early and middle portion of this week. It's all thanks to an area of high pressure that has been leaning back towards the west and keeping the temperatures at bay. 22, 23 degrees was the maximum over the last really couple of weeks or so, and that was actually the warmest anywhere in the UK this year so far. But we're now notching up a degree or two day by day. Temperatures 24.4 Celsius recorded, I believe, yesterday. That was the UK warmest temperature so far. The next couple of days, as high as 26 degrees in the western central belt of Scotland, thanks to the high itself, the core of that high building over the top of Scotland. So we're going to see a reduction in winds and maximum sinking through the column with strong sunshine at this time of the year. We warm the surface very nicely indeed. But these were the maximum temperatures yesterday. Only 11.8 at Altnahara, but as warm as 24, like I say, across and near the south coast of England yesterday afternoon. Underneath the clear skies and light winds, the temperatures dropped off once again to frost level, even air frost across the northern half of the country. Slightly milder conditions the further south you go. And this is the current temperatures as of recording at just before 2 p.m. You can see here that we are starting to see the temperatures warm up quite nicely indeed, 18, 19 degrees at the moment, and we are going to see temperatures in the low 20s, cooler along the east coast, thanks to onshore winds blowing off a chilly North Sea. So, like I said, area of high pressure is building overhead, and of course winds blowing clockwise around that area of high pressure means that we will see an exposure of the coast temperatures significantly down on what they will be in sheltered inland areas. So, of course, the lion's share of the warmest temperatures generally kind of southwestern portions of England, South Wales, into the South Midlands over the last few days. And this is quite a nice representation, actually, of where the centre of the high is. This is actually peak wind gusts off the GFS. This is off weathercharts.com, and you can see here that we've got the lightest winds underneath the centre of the high. So actually quite a very slack wind regime over the heart of Scotland this afternoon, and of course with strong sunshine, we are seeing the temperatures respond very nicely indeed. We've got some fairly brisk winds on the southern flank of the high across southern England, South Wales, into the South Midlands as well. But as I play through the loop here, this animation, you can see that the centre of the high kind of builds more over the top of Scotland. But all the while, we are increasing the wind across the southern half of the UK. So we're going to start to really pick winds up, 25, 35 mile per hour winds blowing across the southern half of the UK in the coming days here. And that is going to really trim back the temperature. Rather than being 18, 19, 20 degrees, we could be talking about only 15, 16 degrees at the very best. And of course, factor in that brisk east-northeast wind, you will feel a nip in that wind indeed. So we're really taking a couple of steps back, actually, than what we've had so far. And of course, temperatures have been fairly mediocre, really, so far this year. Now, actually, we have yet to reach 25 Celsius anywhere in the UK. So this is actually going to be, and we may get there tomorrow, This will be the latest such occurrence of a temperature since 2013, when you had to actually go all the way to June 6th for the last time we struggled to hit 25 Celsius during the month of May. We will, like I say, get there before we run out of the month of May this year, but it will be the latest occurrence since 2013, so a good 10 years since the last time we have seen such a temperature so late in the season. Paris got there over the weekend. That was the latest such occurrence since 1983. So 40 years the last time Paris has went to the very end of May before recording a temperature of 25 Celsius or higher. Suppose in some respects it shows you how warm it's been in recent Mays as well, given these interesting statistics. But looking back at the GFS model, so we've got those brisk east to northeasterly winds blowing around that area of high pressure that's going to be centered over the north. Therefore, the temperatures are going to be 25, 26 Celsius in parts of western Scotland over the next few days. Like I say, while we could be seeing temperatures stuck in mid-teens down across the more traditional warm areas of the UK. Excuse me. So if we look at the maximum temperatures, what we're going to see is this continued fluctuation between warm days and fairly cold nights. So remember, we had 0 Celsius in parts of the north. This morning, we may get close to that in parts of the north over the next couple of days here, but the temperatures are going to be fluctuating. So this is through the afternoon. Excuse me. This is through the afternoon, temperatures kind of rising to around 20, 21 Celsius in many parts of the north. Then we cool back off during the overnight period, very short hours of darkness, of course. Then the temperatures, of course, as the sun rises by the back of 5 in the morning, we are going to see those temperatures off the races. The model is showing, 21, 22 Celsius. We're going to get warmer than that. But look at the temperatures across East Anglia, 12, 13, 14 Celsius is going to feel rather chilly indeed during the course of tomorrow afternoon. Then temperatures rise up a notch higher during Wednesday afternoon. We could be seeing the mid-20s, possibly creeping into the high 20s. Once again, look at England and Wales, only 15 Celsius near the North Sea coast, 17, 18 Celsius. Nothing to write home about really, folks. 20 Celsius at the very best across parts of the Greater London area, for example, especially away from that nagging east and northeasterly wind. So this is actually kind of part of the forecast that I had, given a week or so ago, that we would start to see an end game to May. Warm north, cooler, fresher southern half of the UK, thanks to that area of high pressure building more in across the northern half of the British Isles. So we're going to see this kind of fluctuation in temperature as well between day and night. Now, the NAO and the AO is going very, very firmly negative, and I would actually be quite curious to see the last time we had such a deep negative AO. This is the AO, and this is the NAO going from firm positive. Remember, we had very deep areas of low pressure, cold within the Arctic Circle, and then, of course, we had quite a strong belt of high pressure underneath that, hence the very warm temperatures over western portions of Canada. We've also seen that across parts of Russia in recent times as well. But certainly I would be quite interested to see the depth of this negative AO, NAO situation. When was the last time we've seen such occurrence? It might have occurred a couple of years ago, for example, but I'm not so sure. But interesting nonetheless. And certainly this is an interesting situation when you look at the strong blocking area of high pressure. The upcoming 5-day period, this is off the GFS ensemble, still the negative across the Mediterranean basin, southern Europe, so we're ongoing unsettled conditions here. The further north you go and up towards the region between the UK and Iceland, that is where the centre of the high will be over the next 5 days or so. But if we play through the loop here, you notice here that the trough kind of is established over the northeastern half of Europe, northwestern Russia. Of course, it's been very, very warm here in recent times. We kind of reverse that and cool things down here. But notice here that area of high pressure is kind of backing up towards the northwest. as we play through the first half of June. So therefore, I wouldn't be overly enthusiastic of buying into a major heat wave anytime soon. It does look as if the high pressure in some models may try and go back up towards Scandinavia like it has been for the vast majority of the second half of the spring season. But certainly with this type of scenario, you would have to, assume with the mean ridge backing up towards Greenland, Iceland, we may see surges of much cooler conditions coming down from the north, which will certainly keep the lid on the temperature, certainly as we go through the first half of June. Looking at the precipitation here, of course, and you can see here that the upcoming 7 days, no surprise, firmly drier than average. So we're waving goodbye to spring, which has been the majority of it, wetter than average, to a much drier theme. Look at down across the Mediterranean basin, wetter than average conditions here. And as we continue to play through the first half of June, it certainly looks, according to the GFS ensemble anyway, a drier than average theme, wetter than average through the Mediterranean and southern portions of Europe. Looking at the 2 meter temperature anomaly here, skip back to the upcoming 5-day period, and this is quite interesting, and this is kind of backing up what I'm saying with that ridge backing towards the northwest overall. Warmer than average across particularly western half of Scotland, Central Highlands, for example, below average across particularly the eastern half of the UK, but certainly especially across the bulk of England, close to average across Wales, warmer than average across Ireland, Northern Ireland, and of course Scotland, like I say, below average across the northern half of Europe. As we play through this loop, remember, with that trough established over the northeast, that is where the coolest temperatures compared to average will be. We are warming things up, if you notice here, across the western Mediterranean basin, which is quite interesting here, and we'll play through the loop. That is not showing an overly warm look through the first half of the month, that's for sure, and quite interesting to see, of course. And of course, the El Nino, of course, is, it's coming, it's getting closer. And this is an interesting tweet here by Ben Knoll, showing that the provisional Southern Oscillation Index value for May 2023 is minus 1.6, the lowest value since February 2016, so over 7 years. And this is indicating, folks, that we're getting closer to the development of an El Nino, which of course will be an interesting response to the atmosphere. Of course, you would expect to see a warming of the overall planet with this El Nino, no matter whether it's going to be strong or it's going to be moderate. I think we are going to see an uptick in temperatures overall. But this is just basically saying to us that we are getting closer to an El Nino becoming an established event over the eastern Pacific Ocean. Now, this is the current sea surface temperatures globally. Notice the cooling across the far north of the Atlantic here, warming further south. We also have the warming across the eastern Pacific, as you can see here, representative of the developing El Nino. We do have some areas of cool, which is quite interesting. Strong cooling around along the north coast of Australia, as you can see here, in surrounding areas. We have seen an increase in rainfall, for Ethiopia, for example. I made mention that in the Global Weather and Climate Report. Those warm waters on the west coast of on the western side of the Indian Ocean, perhaps increasing the rainfall here. Notice here the central and eastern Mediterranean is quite below average at the moment here. And if you look at the 7-day change in the sea surface temperature anomalies, that is quite a notable area of cooling over the north central portion of the Pacific, really from the Philippines all the way to North America. That's quite interesting here. Not a strong amount of warming over the last week or so in the eastern region of the Pacific, where the El Nino, of course, will be developing. So I thought it would be interesting to show you that actually today. So yeah, I think I've covered more than enough for today. Do check out markvogelweather.com. My summer forecast, of course, is available. I appreciate you watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I will hopefully be back again tomorrow with more. And of course, the June forecast will be available in the next couple of days. So stay tuned for that as well. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.